Well, let's transition to talking about next-gen professionals.
Yeah.
So Philosopher Kings specifically helps next generation, that is Gen Z, and younger millennials who are entering the professions in droves right now. We specifically help professionals who are young, who are working with clients and patients, who are actually professionals in the truest sense of the word. So they have clients and patients on the back end, and they're balancing all those things. What do you see? Let's start with the good.
Yeah.
What do you see as hopeful about the next generation coming up in the professions, or the good?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I see even in, because I'm teetering right on the edge of millennial Gen Z, but even especially with my clients that I work with that are a little younger, or just other people in my orbit that are a few years younger than me, is they're very, I think, value or virtue driven. Like they have things that they are passionate about that aren't just like hobbies. It's like ideals that they're very passionate about, and they want to live in a way that's congruent with those. And I think they're bringing that into the workplace, which I think is amazing.
Even picking professions, they wanted their job to be about impact, not just about a paycheck.
Absolutely. And I think they're really innovative too, and and I think some of that has been like COVID forced a lot of us to be innovative, but and I think maybe that's one of the things that's come out of
I mean, like day one the boomers took all the toilet paper and we had to figure some stuff out, right? Exactly. By the way, our parents totally had a stash, like a hoarded like pile in the closet, and when I went to their house I was like, you guys, this is exactly what we're all complaining about.
I think the hoard has continued too. Maybe not necessarily toilet paper, but they are ready for a natural disaster, I think, in their basement.
I took us right off track, didn't I?
You did, but that's okay.
So virtue value driven.
Yes.
All right. Well, what would you say? What would you say they have to work on, or they have a ways to go, or they're finding difficult?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing, which isn't necessarily a negative thing, but I think is causing a lot of distress. I think this new generation is very fixated on figuring out their identity. And I think that's like very normal for this stage of life, like
that's
developmentally.
A fascinating answer. I'm already thinking through the biggest critique the generation like above me, like older than me has, is the obsession with social media and crafting an image for yourself. And I see that it's not that they're self-obsessed, it's that they're figuring self out. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's why I said I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, and I think it's normal developmentally. But looking for this identity and purpose and meaning, which I think goes with being so value driven, but then sometimes it comes from these places, sometimes like social media, or sometimes even like work, which is a temptation for me, like to make work my identity, to make these things that aren't in the end actually going to be that satisfying or fulfilling. And then you can get so wrapped up in that. And then I think what comes out of that, which is I think a really common thing said about our generation, is that we're very anxious. Like there's a lot of anxiety. And I think that's a combination of so many things. But that is like, when I think about my clients that are kind of like in this young adult or late adolescent age, what we're working on is anxiety, because the world feels scary and threatening. Yeah.
And it legitimately does. I don't think it's imagined that the whole human experiment kind of feels like it's on the edge of a knife right now. That's not new. No. But it makes it very important when you're in the professions working with people. Man, one of your fundamental jobs is that you're a hope giver, and that you can speak the things that are good. Right.
Or even if things feel still uncertain, and when it comes to identity too, that's okay. That you can kind of be in this space of in between, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love what you said too about you can never find your identity in your job. Yeah. And I think the reason that's such an important point is that most of us thought we could when we did our professional training.
Oh, yeah.
When I trained in seminary to be a pastor, my whole identity was wrapped up in the job I was going to have. When I transitioned to my PhD program to be a professor, my whole identity was wrapped up in being the professor in the room. And when I transition to coaching, I have to be careful not to find my identity in how much help I'm able to give or the results of clients when I can't always control that. And so learning generationally almost to detach identity from performance is an important lesson that Gen Z is wrestling with.
Right. Yep. And then, because then it can be so easy if it's wrapped up in this thing, if that thing doesn't pan through, or we, like you said, make mistakes, then it's easy to translate into that I didn't make a mistake, I'm a failure.
Right.
Like, it's so easy for that to just become a label we place on ourselves, when the reality is I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm not Shannon Smith therapist. That's not that's not my defining feature.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's really good. That's really great.